again, another podcast. We've just done one lovely one with Uwe Beck and his daughter Kristin, and now this one is just with Uwe. So Uwe, really appreciate you coming on, and if I may, I'll just introduce you again as the MD and CEO of Becon Projects Group. So Uwe, lovely to have a chat, my friend.
Likewise, Chris. Always good to talk to you.
Yeah, I've got to say, that was a lovely session with your daughter. She
enjoyed it also. I must say, yeah.
What a cracking young lady, mate. You must be very, very proud, and I'm sure you are.
I am, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, so, well, now, talking about the other child that you've got, which is the business. So I know how passionate you are about that. So again, what I just want to ask you, just to kick it on, I'm not going to ask you about specific projects or whatever, but what I do want to ask you is, what do you think is unique about you and the way you approach your customer experience and interaction? What is the Uwe ingredient, the formula?
Yeah, I think it's number one. It's not anymore myself. It's also, of course, I started this business now 16 years ago when I decided finally to go into the pure consultant side, and then of course in the first years I was more or less alone, and other people came beside me, and the company was growing until where we are now. I think what is always unique is that we have the combination of the pure technology aspect, which we have, of course, to cover designing a new cargo terminal, which has something to do with the material handling system, technology stuff, building interfacing. This is quite, our bread and butter and what we know very well. But to combine the operational knowledge and the automation IT part, each of our clients have more or less, is a unique selling point. I think that is very unique. I would say that we can combine these backgrounds, understanding an operation very well. Maybe you know that I was leading for 10 years an operation at Hahn Airport. Early 2000 we started this. So I was always driving a forklift and had to help during build and break in peak times by myself. So I know what it means to work on the shop floor, and the same for all others in my company. And I think this is extremely important to develop the best solution for the client in a brownfield and in a greenfield project, which we are running both. So we're upgrading existing terminals as well as building new ones. So I think that is, which makes us quite unique. And I think that we are always a very close connection to our clients, and not only to the management, the project management, also to the people on the shop floor, to each and everybody involved, and trying to understand the problems they have and convert them into opportunities and at the end to solutions.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Hahn Airport there, Uwe, and I remember back then, but I've had the pleasure of visiting Hahn Airport a few times now recently, and things are I think things are getting better for them, but also incredible opportunities for that airport, and the facilities are tremendous.
The facilities are tremendous. Unfortunately, they are still struggling, I think, at the moment with the whole business concept. Owner. And when you look what is happening right now in Liège Airport, they're exploding, and Hahn is more or less stagnant. There is a bit of a thing, but this has a lot to do, unfortunately, with our German regulations, which is our Bundesluftfahrtamt. The regulators who are allowing airlines to fly in, and then they're having the flying rights into Germany. And here we are, unfortunately, much more restricted than others in Europe, and this doesn't help. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But please God, one day I think they'll, all the effort that's gone into that as an airport and the potential, and I've come through. So great what you said there, and also you mentioned there about technology, which my goodness me, if only things were moving faster. But now with different approaches to IT and platforms and what can and can't be done, and also interface with AI, things are looking much, much better for the brave, because, AI can make a huge difference in forecasting and, even risk and worst case scenario situations, and also looking at the best and the worst of what can happen with all the geopolitical issues that we're all too familiar with.
Absolutely. I think the IT part, including AI, is a big, big game changer for our industry, particularly in the air cargo handling. I mean, unfortunately, also these dinosaur IT systems, which everybody has in terms of cargo management system, needs to be adopted and to become more modern. Right, let's put it in that way. And I think that's a big challenge. But IT per se, to support the operation and to become more resistant against any problems causing change of flights, peak changes, whatever. I think this is extremely important, and also the interactive with the management at an airport, particularly on the land side in terms of track dock management, is essential. I mean, this is a must, and this needs to be by far more developed as it is now.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. 100%. Now that question, which was about you, and obviously you were brave enough to start the business when you did. You've built it up, and you're well known in the industry. And you touched about your team, but putting the same question to you, what do you think now is that magic dust that's been sprinkled on your business as a result of the team that you've got on board?
I think when I started, I was always looking to surround good people out of the industry who accomplish me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You need to have good people around. I said it earlier in the other session, like a Robert Ryan, like Ralph Gutz, and different perspectives, and I think that the conglomerate of all these characters makes us very unique. We fight for the best solution. We have also our moments amongst us to go the right way. This is absolutely normal. And I think this is visible to our clients. And I think this is showing them that we are really trying to develop something where we all stand behind and transfer this to the client with all our efforts and energy we have. And I think this energy of all my team is good to see. And I think the clients we are dealing with, and these are quite a lot, appreciating this a lot. We have a lot of flexibility. We are answering relatively quickly, addressing issues very quickly. And I think this is also, I'm always saying sometimes we're working 7 days a week. And this is really the case. If a client has a problem on a Saturday, we are there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
In this day and age where you've got so much automation of press button 1 if you want to do this, press button 2 if you haven't got a clue what you're doing, I think it's important to have somebody at the end of a line when it's really urgent and necessary.
Absolutely, and you're working sometimes. Of course, we're working with different cultures in different time zones. Anyhow, I'm running now the fastest project in New Zealand in Auckland, and the other one opposite is Toronto, Air Canada. So you can imagine what this means in terms of time spans and time zones and availability. Ralph is working out of Asia, and so, but we are used to it. But this gives us quite a good, let's say, working environment towards our clients.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And like you've got somewhere around the 15 projects on the go at the moment, and you've said, from New Zealand all the way to Toronto, having that broad base, and also with the historic projects that you've done. What fundamental swing shifts have you experienced and find of interest and also surprise? Because when you've been in the industry long enough, you've got things that you're genuinely interested in and you hope will materialize, but all of a sudden, bang, something hits you and you think, my God, that was a surprise. We weren't expecting it. So from an interest perspective and a surprise perspective, what types of swing shifts have you seen now, from clients?
It's a good one. Just reflecting this, I think our industry is very static, and unfortunately, it is very static. So changes are coming very slow, and mindset change also.
Yeah.
Also, the problem I have in my company that I'm fading out with my career, and the youngsters coming, the industry is also facing. You know, I mean, we all know the Ram Menons and of course yourself, Chris, and all of us. But the next part of generation comes with a complete different mindset and approaches. And this is what we need to reckon and to adopt and to encourage more, because this is the future, right? Particularly in terms of IT automation. You know, this is a really game changer in our industry, and I really have to push hard that this is happening much faster as we all think.
Yeah.
Number one, and I think this changes when you're coming back to your question. This is for me not surprisingly, but this is changing, particularly during the last couple of years in our client environment. We should take care more on these things internally, especially in the bigger organizations, that this is an issue and they need to addressing it. What is also very clear that, particularly in the last couple of years, that old buildings, old operations fading out simply because they are old. I mean, nothing works forever.
Yeah.
So they need to replace, etc., and to renovate or even to build new buildings. And another big surprise was, particularly during the COVID times, I was thinking my business going down because nobody is there anymore. It was the opposite. Most of the clients started, now time, we need to change. We need to do something, particularly forced by these big volumes, which was the cargo industry. We need to prepare ourselves. That the whole industry is now leveled back to normal is a different story. But the projects are still on and continuing to go on. And surprisingly also for me, in areas in the world where you have seen not much movement in terms of investments over the years, like, for example, in the US. You know, there was in the 70s, 80s, ETV systems in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, but out, and now it pops up again.
Yeah.
We have a big development for WFS and JFK. We had Los Angeles building a complete new cargo area where automation is a must. We have Dallas coming up. I mean, also now in South America, the first projects coming up. So we have a notification how important this thing is, and it leads automatically to more investments.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of obviously terrible things happening in COVID, but my goodness me, it also sped up the way of thinking and you know, the way people need to start preparing for unforeseen circumstance or worst case scenarios. But on the terminals and on the equipment and the way they're kitted out and the way they interface with IT, in construction, there's a saying, you know, God's not making any more coastline. But equally, there's not an abundance of frontline space for facilities. So, are you finding that they're managing that capacity smarter, or that they're looking at the more simple approach of effectively using using the space that they've got with simple process and simple equipment?
Both, but the point is, you're absolutely right. Space is limited and more limited at each of these airports in the world. And there must be an aim to grow, to find a way to have a higher throughput in capacity per square meter or square foot, however you take it. And this only can be achieved with a better way of using these terminals, operating them. And this is coming back to the IT involvement to make a higher visibility. For example, where is my airable shipment? Yeah. I mean, I don't have to tell you, most of the operations, they search for the shipment. They search here, there, where? The shift change. Shift has put it left corner and they are searching in the right corner. There's a lot of improvement on the shop floor, which can be supported by IT to have a higher utilization. And I think this is happening right now, and this is a must using the limited space at an airport. It is.
Yeah, those efficiency and what we say more targeted focus step changes. That's an urgent need, and that will alleviate some of the problems. But I think in the long term, the overall industry has got to change the way it works, because if there was more support from government and especially customs, so that you've got almost like a roll through facility, which then went to a future proof facility, which had a sort of an e-commerce combo hybrid, where it mixed the breakdown build up, but also with fulfillment centers and also, first and last mile combinations. I mean, that's surely because you're going to get cheaper, cheaper locations to build. It's not going to be so expensive. It's not going to be so congested. You're also going to enhance local communities. So there's a lot of argument to redefine the way it's worked with stakeholders and authorities and regulators alike.
When you're saying this, I still remember I was involved in the LCC Neo development at Frankfurt Airport, and I said, guys, we need to think out of the box. Why we need to place such a terminal to sit, at least with some activities at the airport? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, they were always shooting me. I said, for example, a truck consolidation center for intact BOPs.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to be at the airport first front line.
Yep.
You can handle this differently. And this is sometimes I'm missing still in our industry, this out of the box thinking, and at least fairly thinking about another solution. I'm sure there are some around.
100%
on the tracking side.
100%. And airports could actually get more involved in sustainability issues, congestion issues, other areas of customer experience, and they could be involved in further afield locations that were more
But Chris, yes, right. But unfortunately, the airport's still looking into cargo as a stepchild.
Yeah. No,
This is still a big problem, and we are really dealing with a lot of airports when we develop in leasing. Sometimes you really shake your head.
Yeah,
such a narrow thinking. And make them understand that the cargo handling is pleasing the same clients they have bringing in passengers. They don't understand that an aircraft, a 350 Airbus, with 20 or 25 tons of cargo, bringing significant turnover for an airline to make this flight profitable.
Yeah. No, I agree with all that, Uwe. I just think that whether like it or not, there's always going to be a passenger focus, but why not enhance and make that experience better for the passenger by also making more efficient and more streamlined and effective cargo options, which could be dealt with, at a different location and at much, much less cost.
Absolutely agree.
What let me just ask you another question before we wrap up here. But with everything that you've seen and the development and the awareness of how people are looking at things, one of the big challenges now is on the competencies of employees and also the compliance to requirements. And how do you now balance the importance of the capability of the workers' feet on ground with the facilities and the equipment and the IT advancements that you're bringing in? Because the transient workforce now is a big issue. So, that how do you keep people? How do you make people proud of where they are or feel as if they're part of a bigger movement, if you like, than just recognizing one brand this year, another brand in a couple of years?
I think that is really one of the biggest challenges we are facing. It's a change management at the client's premises with the employees. I mean, have in mind they're operating a warehouse for 30 years, right? And they are running this thing and used to their processes, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Now we come with a spaceship enterprise.
Yeah.
All fine by the management, but we always say you need to take out your best people
Yeah.
out of the operation, the so-called super users, and we need to take them under our wings and to prepare them and make them eager to change their mindset on making this spaceship fly.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a big challenge in all the projects we are facing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. And at that point, that would be a good segue into another session on that specific subject matter. So,
Absolutely.
listen, thank you so much for joining. Great again, the session with your daughter Kristen, and look forward to seeing you very soon, mate. And wishing you well.
Thanks a lot, Chris, for this, for your time. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Uwe.